Welcome to today's championship race, which is shaping up to be a real nail-biter. It's 3.7 miles around a lap of Baku city circuit then, with 7 rights and 13 lefts, giving us a total of 20 corners. The cars today would be reaching top speeds of around 215 miles per hour, maybe even a little bit more, with a slipstream and DRS assistance. I'm joined again today by none other than Anthony Davidson. Tell me, Ant, obviously there's a lot of between the races. You've been both a test driver and a race driver. What differences are there in the way you approach those roles?
Interesting question, Crofty. They're two very different mindsets. When I tested for BAR, we had full in-season testing where, per driver, you'd cover up to 15,000 kilometres per season. And in that role, it was more about working for the team, trying to help them improve the car and drive as systematically as you could, so that that data could be analysed in the most consistent way. When you're lining up on the grid for a race, however, your frame of mind is all about what you can get out of the situation on that day, and the car's the tool to help you achieve what you want. You still want to focus on setup, of course, but it's more about the here and now, getting yourself as far up the field as possible, and less about development work for the future.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Raikkonen, Vettel, Esteban Ocon, and Perez, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Leclerc, and Roman Grosjean, Sainz, Verstappen, Daniel Ricciardo, and Alonso, Ericsson, Sirotkin, Lance Stroll, and Pierre Gasly. Van Dorn and Brendan Hartley rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
And here we are in Azerbaijan, revving up to 5 red lights. Valtteri Bottas took his first pole position of the season yesterday, and he gets off to a strong start. It seems as here he comes into turn 1, here goes Kimi Raikkonen around the outside of Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton defends nicely. Looks like a Haas back there got off to a pretty good start. Now Bottas has to lead. Hamilton and Kimi go side by side. It's just like last season, where Bottas and Kimi went side by side, but this time Bottas, the Mercedes and Ferrari did not make contact. It looks like Perez is going a bit slowly there, and he's not. But here we go, the battle between the Haas Force India and Renault. They're going to go 3 wide into turn 3. Who's going to break the latest? It's going to be Perez latest on the brakes, but Hülkenberg's going to try around the outside. It looks like the Red Bulls, who had a horrid qualifying yesterday, are now doing their best to come through the field. And Max Verstappen got off to a pretty good start. Daniel Ricciardo seems to be struggling to battle that McLaren of Fernando Alonso. As here on this first lap, Red Bull just had no pace in qualifying yesterday, and it seems like both cars had problems. Anyways, here is Bottas pulling away in that lead. It looks like he is determined to go and get this race win. And it seems like he's already got a pretty good gap over Lewis Hamilton here. Followed by the 2 Ferraris, who are going to be, they're going to be close to Lewis, but Lewis got a pretty good exit off that last corner in Sector 3, and it's going to take quite a lot for that Ferrari to be able to overtake the Mercedes. But actually, look at the speed Kimi's got here. I thought it would be a lot. That Ferrari power unit was a lot stronger than I thought it was, because now here we go, side by side. Lewis nearly takes off his front wing. They're going to go side by side out of that slipstream. Looks like Kimi's struggling to keep up. Hamilton's later on the brakes. Kimi sends it down the inside, squeezes Lewis nearly into the wall. They're going to go side by side into the next corner. Kimi has the inside. Hamilton's going to go back around the outside. Hamilton's super late on the brakes into turns 1 and 2 in his attempts to get past Kimi Raikkonen. They're going to go side by side. It's Ferrari versus Mercedes straight line battle. Who is going to come out on top? We're about to find out. Looks like it's the Mercedes, and Hamilton is going to go around the outside of Kimi Raikkonen. Vettel could not get in front of either of them. No, it's actually Kimi who gets down the inside. Looks like Ferrari and Mercedes evenly matched in the straight line. Mercedes seems to have the advantage in those high-speed corners, while Ferrari seems to have the advantage in the low-speed corners, although we're not entirely sure, as that's Daniel Ricciardo is overtaking Fernando Alonso, and now is on the back of Carlos Sainz, I believe. It's going to be a big challenge for those Renaults to come through the field, because every time they overtake someone, it's going to be difficult to pull away with the lack of straight line speed that they've got. and that's actually Charles Leclerc, who did a stunning job in qualifying yesterday. But unfortunately in the race, it seems like that might have been a bit of a one-off in quality, because in the race he is struggling big time because he's lost a lot of time to the car in front of him, and he's holding up Max Verstappen, who's looking to get past and pull away from his teammate after, of course, beating him in China, but a pretty bad race in Bahrain means that Ricciardo is actually still beating Verstappen in the championship. It looks like Daniel Ricciardo is going for a move on Sainz, not quite. He had a look, but Red Bull couldn't quite pull it off. Here comes Verstappen on the back of Leclerc. So it looks like it's going to be a pretty easy move to get past Charles Leclerc, as the two old karting rivals go side by side. Here comes Carlos Sainz. Look at the straight line speed from the Renault. Oh my goodness me. And round the outside goes Verstappen. What crazy overtakes everywhere. And now Leclerc is defending from Sainz. That was insane, the speed of the Renault. So yes, Verstappen pulled out of the slipstream, tried going alongside Leclerc, couldn't quite pass him because the Red Bull didn't have enough straight line speed. And it looks like Leclerc's going to be coming back on Verstappen here. They're going to go side by side. Leclerc has looked down the inside, has looked to the outside. Verstappen defends very, very nicely there. But anyways, on that start-finish straight, he pulled alongside Leclerc, but Leclerc had such a good straight line advantage in that Ferrari-powered Sauber. Couldn't pass him. Just like that, and then Sainz just had a brilliant slipstream, and has to be said, the Renault has shown some pretty good straight line speed this season, much better than we were expecting, and surprisingly much better than the Red Bull. And looks like Sebastian Vettel has got past Lewis Hamilton as well. Both Ferraris in front of Hamilton. Hamilton's struggling big time, but is pulling away in the lead, and it looks like he is on course to win this race. But as we saw in Bahrain, where Vettel dominated, it doesn't matter if they lead every lap. Every lap before the last lap, they just need to make sure that they come across the line first on that final lap. But looks like Max should be pulling away from Leclerc now, as he's going to be much quicker through Sector 2. And it was a crazy battle between Sainz, Leclerc, and Verstappen, and Max, who looked like he was going to be going down the inside of Leclerc, switched to the outside. But anyways, here comes the Force India. Look at the straight line speed they've got. It's incredible. He's already overtaken the Haas. And now here comes the other Force India down the inside of Kevin Magnussen. That's Esteban Ocon going for it down the inside. Magnussen's going to drive around the outside. Not even close. The Force Indias have astounding straight line speed. And here comes Roman Grosjean down the inside of Nico Hülkenberg. Oh, it's going to be very tight between the two of them. Renault and Haas, bitter rivals this season. Renault, Haas, and Force India, as the three of them are battling for fourth in the Constructors' Championship, but it doesn't matter because here comes Roman Grosjean down the inside of Nico Hülkenberg. They both have slipstream from the cars in front. Grosjean has the inside of it. Hülkenberg has to yield. And that looks like Danny Rick has finally gotten past Leclerc, and so has Sainz. But sorry, wait, I'm not. That might have been Hülkenberg. Anyways. As we move on in this race, we're on board with the Haas. It looks like Vettel is keeping up with Kimi, and Hamilton's keeping up with the Ferraris, but he's not quite fast enough to be able to overtake them. It seems like Kimi has created a bit of a DRS train here. But can Vettel get him this lap? Must find out. Can Vettel get his teammates? As now we go on board with the Force Indias. I believe it's Perez followed by Ocon. Then it's the Haas of Magnussen and Grosjean, who have been losing a lot of positions. And here comes Vettel into the pits. And it looks like there's a bit of a battle going on between the Force India and Haas. As, of course, some people are now coming into the pits. Here comes Magnussen. He's on the back. He's going to get that DRS. Can the Ferrari power unit challenge that Mercedes power unit in the Force India? Of course, the Force India does have less drag than the Haas. But anyways, here we are on board with Ricciardo, who's now coming under threat from Sainz, I believe. And here comes Sainz down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo. Can he pull this off? Yes! Not quite. Ricciardo's later on the brakes. And he loses the back end there, does Ricciardo, but he has gotten out in front. Ricciardo seems to be really struggling with tire wear here in his attempts to pull away from that Renault, as Verstappen has successfully pulled away quite nicely from his teammate, and that must be frustrating for Danny Rick, as that would be the third race this season for Verstappen would beat him in a row. There's a Toro Rosso on the back of a Williams, and here's Stoffel Van Dorn in front of Hamilton, who's overtaken Vettel in the pit stop phase. That is tragic for Seb again, getting overtaken by his championship rival. This is so difficult for Seb because, I mean, Ferrari came into this weekend expecting to have the better car, and they just haven't, and it's it is unfortunate for the team. But anyways, here comes Bottas out the pits. Kimi seems to have closed down a little bit on Bottas. Bottas comes out in front of, I believe that's Danny Rick. If not, that's Verstappen. It's definitely one of the Red Bulls, but Bottas comes out in front of them. And it looks like Kimi seems to be catching Bottas a little bit, because I don't remember Kimi being that close to him, but that could have just been because Kimi was battling Lewis and Seb. And now Bottas on those fresh tires, he's going to be much quicker than the Red Bull, who has just been so off the pace today here in Baku. Bottas looking to secure his first win of the season. And everything seems to be going his way. As you can see Hamilton in front of Seb by quite some ways, but Kimi seems to have pulled away from Lewis, so the overcut seems to be the better strategy here in Azerbaijan. The two Force Indias going at it once again, just like 2017, where they crashed into each other, and I believe they didn't get points, and even Perez said they could have gotten a potential race win. But here comes, I am not sure which Force India is in front of which, but either way, I believe it's Perez in front. No, it's Perez behind. It's Ocon in front. My bad. And will Perez be able to attack Ocon this lap? Will they crash just like they did in both Belgium and Baku 2017? Here comes Perez with... He's got the DRS. They go down the longest straight of the season at very high speed. Here comes Perez down the inside of Esteban Ocon. He's going to get out in front, and down the inside goes Sergio Perez. Around the outside comes Ocon. Can he get back at his teammate? That's exactly where they made contact. No, sorry, they made contact coming out of turn 2. But either way, they got very close to making contact. Perez gets out in front, but now Ocon is going to have a good chance at getting back at Perez with the DRS. It looks like a Renault of Nico Hulkenberg seems to have overtaken one or both of the Haas's. I'm not quite sure. Followed by the two Red Bulls, as Verstappen is still some ways in. Going to have to really push if he wants to catch his teammate. As you can see, Fernando Alonso has lost a lot of time here. Now Stoffel Van Dorn's on the back of him, and Alonso is having a look at the Toro Rosso. Round the outside goes Fernando Alonso, and that would have been an astounding move if he could pull it off, but it looks like he's just had to back off. That is unfortunate for him. But it has to be said, Fernando Alonso has had a pretty disappointing race today. After a somewhat decent qualifying, it has to be said, the McLaren is one of, if not the slowest cars here. It's just got no straight line speed, tons of drag. And it's interesting how the Renault seems to have decent straight line speed and decent just general speed, while the Red Bulls and McLaren's cars with higher drag seem to be struggling a little bit more. Now Esteban Ocon is going to be pushing to catch Sergio Perez, as he very much does not like getting beaten by his teammate. But it looks like that is exactly what's happening, as Perez seems to have some pretty incredible pace, but Ocon's going to have the DRS, he's going to have the slipstream. Will he be able to overtake his teammate? He's going to open up that DRS just now. They go down the long straight of the season. And it is a long straight, but it is not infinite. And that means that Perez actually pulled a big enough gap that Ocon will not be attacking him into turn 1. Brilliant stuff. It seems like now the Force Indies are showing incredible race pace, as they're just pulling away from the cars behind, using each other's speed to just pull away from the Renault behind. And it's brilliant. And the Haas's too, who they were just battling, and now they are way ahead of the Haas's. as it looks like that's the Red Bull of Max Verstappen on the back of, I want to say Magnussen, and here comes a Sauber overtaking a Renault, and I'm really not sure who is who for the drivers, I'm not gonna lie. Either way, Fernando Alonso has finally overtaken the Toro Rosso, and Charles Leclerc he's down here now. I'm not sure why Leclerc's in last, or how he ended up in last, but he's in last by some ways here in Azerbaijan, and that is tragic after what was an astonishing qualifying in P9, I believe, in that Sauber. And he's actually behind his teammate now too, but anyways, here comes Max Verstappen. He's on the back of Magnussen, I want to say? And he's getting close. And he will probably be able to get him on the next straight. Grosjean. Sorry, no, it's Grosjean, not Magnussen. I'm not sure where Magnussen is, to be honest, because he was in this battle. But anyways, here comes Verstappen. Look at the slipstream he's got. And despite that slipstream, he can barely overtake the Haas on the straight. Red Bull straight line speed. Now he's got the DR. Surely he'll be able to overtake Grosjean with ease. Not quite with ease, because Grosjean still holds it alongside him. It doesn't matter because Max broke later coming into turn 1 and has taken turn 2 quite nicely, but because of that straight line deficit, will Grosjean be able to come back at Verstappen? Here comes Grosjean around the outside of Max Verstappen. Can he pull this off? No, he cannot. As this is where the Red Bull shines through the second sector, and he should be able to pull away from Grosjean quite easily. There's Danny Rick, some ways behind his teammates. And even the Toro Rosso seem to have no pace today. Has to be said, they've been battling the McLarens for last place, and the Williams too. The Williams were to be expected as they've just been off the pace the whole season, while Toro Rosso and especially McLaren, who were probably expecting a lot more out of that Renault engine, are basically back where they were with the Honda engine. So just not doing too well. But what's surprising here is that Max Verstappen has actually not been able to catch the Renault in that second sector, and here comes Romain Grosjean back at Verstappen, and this is going to be an easy move. He's going to come flying past Max. That is just disappointing to watch. That Red Bull has no pace today. What is going on with the Red Bull? They have become a midfield team in a matter of one weekend. They had pole position in the last race. Sure, it was a pretty lucky pole, but and sorry for the long silence, having some audio problems here in the commentary box. But anyways, back to the race. Grosjean has overtaken Max Verstappen, and this is probably going to be good for Ricciardo. If they can keep battling, Danny Rick will be able to catch up to them. Comes Max Verstappen on the back of Romain Grosjean. He's very close. He should be able to easily get him this lap, but again, if they keep battling, that's going to allow Ricciardo to catch right up to the back of Verstappen. Here's Pierre Gasly behind Van Dorn, and Zarkin and Alonso. Just a lot of cars everywhere. And it's actually what's interesting here is that Charles Leclerc is catching this group of cars because they're battling so much, and he's got some pretty good pace, must be said. Here's Verstappen in front of Grosjean. Nicely done from Max. And it looks like Ocon has re-overtaken Perez, if I'm not mistaken. So Force Indias continue to battle here in Azerbaijan. And there's yellow flags. There's yellow flags. Not sure who that's for, but there's yellow flags. Here comes the Red Bull flying through Castle Azad. Terrifying shot to look at, just how close they go to the walls, how fast they go through such a tight, narrow space. It's incredible, these drivers, really, as we go on board with Grosjean, then Verstappen, then back to Grosjean. So what's interesting is that Verstappen this time was able to pull away from Grosjean, really did it quite nicely. So he's pulled away from Grosjean in that second sector. Will Grosjean be able to get him back? If he's still in the DRS, I do believe he can, but if he's no longer in that DRS, then I think Verstappen has done what he needed to do to get in front of Romain Grosjean. Now go in pursuit of Sainz, I want to say? And it looks like Grosjean does have the DRS. Look at the straight line speed he's got. Because here it goes, round the outside of Max Verstappen. And that is incredible. That must be so frustrating for Verstappen here. He just can't pass Grosjean because he doesn't have any straight line speed. It's ridiculous to watch these Red Bulls have no pace in the straight line. And it's really up to question for who's to blame, because even Renault seem to have straight line speed under control. It's not as good as the Ferrari and Mercedes powered cars, but it's still not horrible. And not like what Red Bull seem to be doing at the moment, which is just atrocious straight line speed. Here's Verstappen again on the back of Grosjean. Here he goes, round the outside of Grosjean. No, he locks up, goes into the wall. Max Verstappen. Oh my goodness me. And there goes Ricciardo past him. Oh my goodness, Max Verstappen. He just doesn't give up, does he? And he wanted to pass Grosjean there for some reason. It would have been a really stupid overtake because then Grosjean would have just got the DRS again. But he wanted to try something different. He really just wanted to go for it. You could see the frustration. Here comes Sergio Perez on Esteban Ocon. Look at the straight line speed he's got. He's going to go around the outside. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? Ocon's going to go down the inside. Perez nice and late on the brakes, but look at the exit Ocon's got. Now they're going to go side by side into turn 2. Who's going to be latest on the brakes into turn 2? Looks like it's going to be Perez, but Ocon again has the better line. They're going to go side by side to this next corner. And Ocon has the DRS. Look at this battle between the Force Indians. It's incredible to watch. As Ocon is again down the inside on his teammate. Here comes Perez on the outside. No way he was ever going to pull that off. But anyways, Max Verstappen just went for a move that wasn't really there. He hit the brakes too late, locked up, went straight into the wall, and what a disaster. He's not going to get points today because of that. And just an absolute disaster for Max Verstappen, who was beating his teammate. And I feel like, given the situation, that was still going to be a pretty strong race for Max. But now, going into the wall, he's just lost so much here in Baku, and that is a tough loss for Max, but a loss that was completely 100% his fault. And that looks like Charles Leclerc, if I'm not mistaken, has just overtaken a Toro Rosso of Brendan Hartley, I want to say. And a great recovery from Leclerc after where he was after the pit stops, of course. But here we are on the final lap of the race. It's Valtteri Bottas who comes across the line to take his first win of the season, a dominant win from Kimi Räikkönen, and then Lewis Hamilton, who has not taken the win today. So that is the first race this season where he has not won the race. But great job from Valtteri Bottas. He controlled that race brilliantly and is the deserving winner of the 2018 Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
today. Tell me, Ant, what was the key to this success?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
So as I say that, we can see the drivers coming out now to collect their trophies. It's yet more silverware to take back to their base in Brackley after another excellent Grand Prix. So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. And now I'd like to ask you, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
I'm going to say Brendan Hartley. It was probably one of his best drives this season, and I was thoroughly impressed.
And now let's take a look at the Constructors' standings. Mercedes have extended their lead at the top of the standings. Another team that will be satisfied with this Grand Prix is Sauber, whose good result moves them further up the championship. Well, what a weekend that has been. Please join us next time for another thrilling instalment of this Formula One season.